It is, I've talked to no one today. It is Saturday, end of April, 29th. It's like the very end of April. We're going to do something a little bit experimental today. I'm kind of excited about it. We are going to dye. We're going to try dyeing roving. This is something I've always wanted to try, but I've never really gotten around to doing because it stresses me out. It's very easy to felt roving. I've talked about this in previous videos when it comes to felting yarn when you're dyeing it. You don't want to heat shock it or like rough it up too much because it'll felt your yarn. Yarn is spun roving. Roving is even easier to felt because it is unspun. It's just like the fluffy fibers. For anybody who hasn't really like had experience with roving, this is the stuff that people put on their spinning wheels and spin into yarn. This is what it looks like before the like mills turn it into the yarn that you knit with or crochet with. And I really want to try dyeing it. Knit Picks had a bare fiber sale, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. This has been in my garage for weeks now. But Knit Picks had a bare fiber sale, and so I decided we were going to try it. So here we are. So I didn't get a ton because I didn't know how this was going to go. And I didn't want to end up with a ton of stuff that like if it goes sideways. If it goes sideways, I didn't want to end up with a bunch of stuff that I ruined and then had to like throw away. Because once you felt fiber like this, you can't really do a ton with it. I mean, I guess I could weave it into a tapestry or give it to someone to weave into a tapestry, but I don't tapestry weave. I probably won't tapestry weave. But if it goes sideways, someone could weave with it and maybe that'll be what happens to it. But yeah, I mean, if it felts, this is not a thing that I'm going to keep for myself. So I bought 2 braids. So they're 100 grams each of Stroll roving. Stroll is one of their main sock bases and it's so soft. I love it so much. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So this one, like I would probably spin this up to become a pair of socks, which would be cool. And then I also got Wool of the Andes roving, which is 100% Peruvian wool with no nylon in it. The nice thing is they are like, you might be able to tell on camera, the merino nylon is like white. And the Wool of the Andes has this like creamy color to it. And I think it's going to help be able to tell them apart when they're in their pans. But also, I mean, they feel different. I'm going to assume they're going to feel different wet, but we are going to see what happens. This is going to be like an experiment on so many levels. So I did a little bit of research, and by a little bit of research, I mean, I watched one video on how to dye roving, and in that video, I like skipped a bunch of chunks of the video. I think by now, my personal brand of chaos has become very clear. And we're just going to wing it. Like I kind of have an idea and we're just going to go for it and see what happens. The one thing I'm going to do differently with this roving than I do my yarn. Okay, there are many things I'm going to do differently. And I will talk through kind of all of those differences as I'm doing them. The first thing that I'm going to do differently is I'm actually going to soak the roving in its dye pan, instead of the plastic bucket that I usually soak all of the yarn in and then transfer them to their dye pans. I'm doing that for kind of 2 main reasons. One, I mean, like all fiber, this is going to expand a little bit as it soaks up water. I don't know what kind of a tangle situation I would end up in if I put all of them into that plastic bucket. The way that the yarn gets all tangled up in itself, I don't really want these unwrapped fibers to end up tangled up in each other. When you spin fiber, the whole like process of spinning is basically separating out. Maybe I'll try to post a little bit of a video of drafting fiber, but basically you pull the fiber long ways like this. I'm going to put a video right here. You pull the fiber long ways, and it kind of spreads out those fibers and separates them long ways. So you get like a skinnier fiber and you can spin it together. I am not a technical spinner. So this explanation is very poor. If you want like a good explanation of spinning and how it works and separating fibers and drafting, please go look at other YouTube channels. This is not a technical space. All I know is that you basically pull apart the fibers. Every fiber has a different thing called a staple length, which is how long those individual fibers are. So that's how long you can draft it before your fiber just like splits apart. And so I'll show you in this video that I'm hopefully adding right here, where like you can pull it to a point where it's all stretched out. And then once you pull it a little too far, those fibers will separate. In this case, I'm using stuff that is already dyed and then I'm actively spinning with, so I can just spin it back together. It'll be okay. When it comes to these bare fibers, I don't want them tangled in on each other and to rip apart when I'm pulling them out of a big container of water while they're all wet and heavy. I don't want that mess because I don't want these fibers to be like broken apart. So that's why I'm soaking them in their own pans. I'm going to do both braids of each kind in one pan. I also know, I know that you want to handle roving less than you handle yarn typically when you're dyeing, because you don't want to felt it. And part of the felting issue is like a heat, agitation, friction problem. So if I handle it less with my hands while it's soaking or while I'm moving things around, I think that will be better for it. So that's another reason that I want to soak it in its dye pan. And then you also, part of the felting issue is when you shock it with temperatures of, like temperature changes with water. So I don't want to have like lukewarm water, potentially too warm water in a pan. So I kind of want to just have the water that like is going to be a base in the dye pan with the roving, and then I can slowly heat the whole thing up together and make sure it's really coming to temperature together. That's kind of like my reasoning behind dyeing or soaking them in their dye pans. I don't know if it's actually going to help. This could be nothing productive for us. Who knows? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and rip off these tags. And so when you do that, you get, look, yeah. So, oh, they are tied. Okay. Oh, they're tied together. Oh, okay. How do I undo this? There seems to be a knot there. Okay. So you can, they actually made a fiber thing and you can actually just like pull it apart and that gets it to come undone. That was cool. Okay. So once you do that, you have one big loop of fiber. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm just going to kind of drape it in here. I will give you a, like a pan down shot here in a second after I get this other one in here. And I think this is just how I'm going to soak them. It's making me wonder if I should do, like, if it would make sense to do one braid of fiber per pan, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do two. Living life on the edge. Okay. Get that undone. I'm so excited to dye this. Okay, and then we're gonna do one of these dealios. Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm going to flip you around and show you what this looks like in this pan. Fill it with water, do the same thing with the other set of fiber, and then we'll be back after a few hours. We're gonna let this sit for quite a long time because it's gonna take a little bit of time for it to all soak in there. and then we'll get to dyeing. I also got some new dyes that I can show you, so that's also super exciting. It's gonna be a good day in the messy garage. So the other thing I will do once I get these upstairs is I will probably, I think I'm gonna just add vinegar to the water because you still need that acidity. I'm gonna actually flip the camera around and show you guys something interesting. There's been talk over the last, I don't know, like 2, 3-ish years about superwash versus non-superwash wools, and kind of the difference in how those wools handle water. There was a big push for quite a while leaning towards non-superwash wools, which I love. They're really nice because they are like fairly water resistant, so it's raining, you can go outside and you don't end up soaked. They like don't take stains as easy in terms of like if you spill stuff on yourself like I do. But the superwash wools tend to hold up a little better. There have been some concerns about like the impact on the environment with superwash wools, because basically, if I understand correctly, which I could be wrong, I think it's that like the superwash basically adds a plastic element into the wool, which is not super environmentally friendly. But what's interesting is when you can see the difference in the way the yarn soaks. So I'm gonna flip you around and show you what I'm seeing. So this is the first pan that I soaked. This is my superwash merino nylon blend. As you can see, it's like, it looks like it's soaked through. It looks like you could honestly just go dye this. If you look at the non-superwash wool, this spot here is starting to soak in, but if you see, it's taking a lot longer, because even that, like that came right back up. It takes longer for those fibers to soak in that water because they are more water resistant. And so this is the non-superwash that doesn't have that extra treatment. And so when I'm doing this with my hands, I am being very gentle. I'm just trying to coax it a little bit, but I'm about to just leave this here and let this do what it's got to do. I don't want to play with it too much. So you can see here where it's starting to like soak into spots, but you can also see where it's taking its sweet time. So it's just interesting. It's an interesting difference to see real time, because I've never dyed or soaked superwash next to non-superwash. So this just kind of shows you the differences in how these fiber types deal with water. It kind of shows you the benefits to knitting with stuff that's non-superwash. So yeah, we'll be back in a few hours after this is all soaked and get this stuff dyed. Okay, it is much later in the day. I don't know, I think it's like 2:30, 3, something like that. We are in the garage, and I have these new dyes. I guess I should have pulled them out of the bag beforehand. So we have pistachio. It's just not gonna focus. We have duckling, which is this like really pretty light yellow. And we have saffron spice, which I'm also very excited about. What I didn't do is I did not think about what colors I want to dye. So what I did do before coming up here, I had my fiber soaking in their pans downstairs. And I did dump off some of the water that was in these pans so that I have space to pour over dyes. I have a cup of coffee in my mug from Doghouse Pottery, I think. Yes, Doghouse Pottery. I got it a couple, like 2019 Rhinebeck when we went. I actually don't even know if she's doing, like if she's still making pottery. She went kind of quiet on social media. This is one of my favorite mugs of all time. So very cute. So I'm kind of thinking on one of these, I want duckling. I want None of my stuff is even organized. I have like a hyacinth color, which turns out to be a really, okay, duckling, hyacinth. Maybe we go with pistachio. Because I got that to be like a cute green color. I'm moving you a little bit because, you know, I put you on top of my die. Why wouldn't I have done that? Okay, that's Valentine blush. I don't think I want that one. We'll see. I might need to get my tripod to put you guys on my side table here, but I don't know yet. We'll see. Yeah, I didn't really think any of this through, but I think doing, okay, I think I want to do my merino nylon with these like springy colors. And I think I might add bright aqua to this mix. So I think I'm gonna do bright aqua, pistachio, hyacinth, and duckling. But I'm gonna add the pistachio, hyacinth, and duckling first, and then see how they look. Like I think I'm going to, I will show you, but I think I'm going to kind of dye them in chunks, or like add the dye in chunks. So I'll add the bright aqua last. Like that would be the last thing I would add, depending on if I think it needs more after those three colors. This non-superwash wool, I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I kind of want to go a little more fall-ish with it. I'm not going to use any of the fluorescent colors. There are some colors in my stack here, like fluorescent fuchsia, which I love, and purple pop, which I also love. Those are hard to wash out of yarn. I can't even imagine trying to wash them out of fiber because you have to be gentler. So we're not going to go that route. I mean, the saffron spice could be fun, this new one I got, but I also don't know how it dyes up. I've never used it. Oh, but I could do saffron spice, sage leaf. Oh, and either sand dune or teddy bear brown. I think we might go that route. Even though, you know, it's about to be May, let's go fall, I guess, right? I guess it can't hurt. So yeah, so for this non-superwash fiber, we're gonna go, I think we're gonna start with saffron and sage leaf. And then maybe add teddy bear brown, maybe also add sand dune. And we're gonna go from there. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna dye up the spring colored superwash nylon first and do the fall saffron spice second. The next thing, I'm not dyeing this today, but the next thing I'm gonna end up dyeing, in my Knit Picks order, I did order, I don't know if you're gonna see it. Oh, you got a little bit of the sparkle. I ordered Stroll Glimmer, which is superwash nylon and stellina. And I have 4 skeins of that. That I ordered for myself. Those ones I'm not going to dye. Same with this. So all of this dyeing that I'm doing is stuff I'm dyeing for me. I've been wanting to try my hand at dyeing my own fiber. So I'm doing that for me. And then I bought the sparkle because I don't typically buy that. I haven't bought that in a long time for dyeing for the shop, which my shop is Ink Blot Yarn Co. I'll put that right here. And hopefully by now, I think I've been posting videos long enough that I can put a link in my description box. So my shop should be linked below. But I forgot how much I love sparkle yarn. I think I talked about it in my stash video. I found all these sparkle scraps and I just love it so much. So I picked myself up 4 skeins of sparkle fingering weight yarn and I'm trying to decide what to do with them. I have been having some ideas about maybe doing, I'm on like a garter blanket kick. I don't know why, but actually maybe I Now I'm like brainstorming projects and I'm not even dyeing that today. That's not even soaked. I think it could be fun to do. Stephen West has a few patterns that are like more basic stitches out of fingering weight yarn that make like big squishy projects. Maybe I dye up those 4 skeins in their own colors and put them all into a project. So 4 different colors. Because I could dye them in pans with the DK skeins that I have over there. So I'm not just dyeing 1 skein per pan. So it'd still be like 2 or 3 skeins per pan. And then I get to keep all the sparkle. We're gonna keep thinking on that. I think that's part of the plan. I'm gonna move you and I'm going to start mixing up these dyes and getting this ready. So at this point, I'm just getting ready to dye up the spring-colored Superwash Merino Nylon skeins. So the first dye I go ahead and layer on is the pistachio color. And I just sort of create a big section that has this pistachio color covering it. And I saved some of it to do the other side of the fiber. I'm actually putting a glove on this time. I had a cut on my finger and I really didn't want dye and hot water inside that cut. So we went ahead and gloved it up today. You guys know that I usually don't wear gloves though, so making it work. And then the next thing I do is I went ahead and grabbed the hyacinth color, which is this gorgeous purple color, and I layered that on below the pistachio to kind of make a stacked effect on this fiber. And when I'm smushing it down, I'm just kind of like making sure as much of the fiber is covered in the dye water as possible, being really gentle when I'm touching it to avoid too much agitation. And then I'm putting the duckling yellow color down at the bottom of this pan. And I'm going to do the same thing where I kind of like push the fiber down a little bit, but again, I'm being very gentle here so that I don't agitate the fibers too much. So then I went ahead and got my mask back on because I wanted to speckle with some of this bright aqua color. It didn't turn out speckly on fiber. I actually don't even know if you can create true speckles on fiber, but it created nice like blotches of this bright aqua color on the fiber that you'll see later. And so I just added that in here for a little like special effect. Okay, so at this point I have rinsed all of the fibers. This one that's like orangish and actually gray. I'll be interested to see how this is when it's fully dry. This one is the non-superwash, and then the one that actually turned out looking like Mardi Gras is the superwash nylon. I realized that I wasn't really sure how to dry these, because typically I dry my yarn on this guy, but I was worried that drying the fiber on that rack was going to stretch it out too much and like risk pulling those fibers apart. So I don't exactly know how that's gonna go. I guess I'll have to like come down here later, maybe like right before bed, and swap out this towel or something. We'll see. I think I'm gonna move the fan from the plant rack over to here to like help these dry a little faster. I didn't realize how difficult it was going to be to didn't exactly realize how difficult it was going to be to move around these fibers when they were wet. So like there are some spots that look a little weird that I'm a little worried about. Like this chunk here, like it started to split, which is okay, but it looks kind of odd. And then like this, I'm a little worried that I might have matted the middle of this. We will see once it fully dries, and this is why I'm dyeing these just for me, because a couple of things. If it ends up fully matted, the world is not going to end. These were hella cheap because I bought them on that sale. So if they were to be fully matted once they're dried, world is not ending. If I get them dry and I realize there's like chunks that are felted, I am just going to take those chunks out. While I like having my, you know, when I'm taking apart a braid, I like when the different color sections line up when I'm spinning it, but I am not a stickler for that. Like I said earlier, I'm not a technical spinner. I'm not a very like I don't spin fancy things. I've spun a fractal once, and that was with guidance. Like I had a sheet of paper. I bought a kit from the local yarn shop near my best friend, and the kit had instructions on how to break apart the colors to turn it into a fractal. So I've done it one time, but I'm not, like I don't pick a style to spin my yarn in. So if I have to pull a chunk of this fiber out, the world's not going to end. Yeah, so we'll see what these look like when they're dry, hopefully tomorrow. We'll see, and I'll update you then. Hello, good morning. It is Sunday, May, there's my calendar, 7th. And I realized that I have not, oh, the dog's gonna knock over this tripod. Okay. I realized I have not wrapped up the fiber dyeing video. Wow, he's on another level of annoying today. Leave that alone, please. I haven't wrapped up the fiber dyeing video. And so we're gonna do that today, because I started filming that like last weekend. And then, you know, life happens. So I thought I would show you the finished fiber on video. It's gorgeous. And also show you some of the yarn that I have hand dyed. All of that is in my Etsy shop. It's Inkblot Yarn Co. and I will link it below. I think one of these pairs of braids is going to go into the shop. The other one I want to spin. So we'll start with the fiber stuff. So I am planning on keeping the stroll base. And that's how these two braids turned out. What's fun is these were dyed in the same pan. I showed earlier how I layered them in with each other. And this guy got like a lot of the yellow. And this guy barely got any yellow. Which is interesting. I love how these colors turned out. I'm very excited to spin this. This turned out so soft. I feel really proud. I don't think I felted anything. I've got some weird spots that like, I don't know. It's not felted, and that's all I care about. And I think these are gonna be really pretty once I spin them and ply them together. I'll show you my spinning wheel. I'm gonna grab it really quick. So I spin on an Ashford Kiwi 3. I've got fiber on there now that you guys have seen before. It's taking me forever to spin it. So yeah, so I'm going to spin that purple and yellow one myself because I love it. The other one I dyed, this is so pretty. This is the 100% Peruvian wool. And I mean, this is so, like, I love this really subtle variation here. Can you stop licking the fiber? Yeah, I love how this turned out. It didn't turn out anything like I expected. The orange, sure. These, like, Barrett, guys, I'm so sorry. My dog wants to be really involved today. But these subtle variations in here with the colors I used, I just didn't expect it, and I love it. Like, I love how it turned out. I think it would turn into a beautiful spin. Like, I think spinning those and plying them together is going to be gorgeous. So I'm thinking about putting that up in the shop. I kind of wonder if there's interest. I don't know what, like, the spinning world looks like right now. I know some dyers who exclusively dye roving, or roving is a big part of their dye like process, where they do a lot of yarn and a lot of roving. So I'm kind of curious, like, if you were finding like a small shop on Etsy, are you like only a knitter? Would you be interested in roving? This was a lot of fun to dye. It's something that I would maybe consider dyeing more of. It was just like a lot of fun, and it was fun to see how the dye takes differently compared to what I'm used to with yarn. So then I want to kind of highlight some of the other things I have in my shop, since we're already here talking about things that I've dyed. I started dyeing yarn dabbling in dyeing yarn probably like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I'll be honest, I have no sense of time. I just finished my PhD in December, and everything like during my PhD program is one big blob of like, I don't know when any of that happened, because I was also PhDing during like lockdown and all of that stuff. So my sense of time is really warped, and like none of it makes any sense to me. So I think I started dabbling in dyeing like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I took a dye class, like an online Zoom dye class with Lisa from Hickory Lane Fibers. And that was a blast. I learned so much during that, and it kind of like nudged me on to like start really dyeing. And then I dyed a handful of things that I ended up selling to like a bunch of friends, and they all fell in love with it. And then my camera angle is super weird. Sorry. I'm just going to adjust you a tiny bit. And then after I did that, I was like, you know what, maybe we could start an Etsy shop. Like, maybe we could just do it. And here we are with an Etsy shop. Why does my camera feel so low? I feel like my tripod is not doing what I want it to do today. It's okay. It's fine. We're 7 minutes in. We're not re-recording this. This is real life, everybody. We are a low production YouTube channel. Low production, high value. That's what I like to say, I guess. What was I saying? So I started dyeing, I think I opened my Etsy shop, was it last summer? And end of the summer, like beginning of fall. Something along those lines. And it's something that I've just like really enjoyed. It's been a fun creative outlet. It's just been different than what I'm used to. And what's been fun is like then working with my own yarn. I'm gonna grab a couple of things. So I wanted to grab a couple of the things that I've already been working on out of my own yarn, which has been so much fun. So I dyed up this skein, which is just like yummy raspberry colored. It's gorgeous. And I ended up knitting up this. This is what this knits into. This is a classic ribbed hat by Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern, 1x1 rib. You fold up the brim, it's very cute. And then I also this is fun. So these are both DK. I think this one is 75/25 merino nylon. And this pink one is also the same. So these are both sock, like could be sock yarns. This one is like grays and blacks with just speckles and pops of like pretty colors. I made myself a pair of DK socks. Isn't that pretty? I love it so much. And then my next self-dyed knit is going to be, all right, out of this yarn here. This is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, also DK weight. This is how that's working up. This is going to be a test knit for a t-shirt. I'm very excited. Oh, threw that on the floor. So I find it like really fun to be able to knit with my own stuff. Excuse me. But there's a lot in the shop that I haven't found the time to knit with yet. And so I'm just gonna highlight some of like the ones that are my favorites that I hope other, oh, dog, no. So there's this one that's really pretty and looks like sunflowers. I have this on DK and fingering weight yarn. And I think the DK is a sock base. I have this really pretty one. Actually, those are kind of fun together. And then I have this one, which makes me just so happy. With a pop of purple in there. And then I tried my hand at a tonal. I dyed a tonal gray for a friend. And that turned out really pretty. And I mean, excuse me? How are they still in the shop? Like, I have, I think 2 of these. I mean, look at that. I have 2 of these and 2 of these. How is someone not like, I'm pretty sure I have 2 of the pinks. Yeah. Confirmed. I have 2 pinks, 2 grays. That's 4 skeins of DK. Imagine what that could turn into. Like the prettiest, I think about a brioche project in this. And this is the struggle with dyeing, because now I want to pull all of these out of the shop and knit myself a brioche thing. Someone buy them before I do that. I don't need any more projects. It's just so pretty. I've also dyed up some really fun fingering weight yarns. This is one of the first ones that I did in that class. This one is ultra bright and pretty. I have a couple of these. These are fun. They're like fiery red. This one I always feel really impressed with. That one's so pretty. Oh, you can even see the sparkle. I ordered more sparkle yarn because I love dyeing that and I love knitting with it. But yeah, so this kind of like wraps up that yarn dyeing extravaganza. If you watched my stash video, which a bajillion of you did, let me just say thank you. I think that, I don't know what I did to the YouTube algorithm, but like 3,500 people have seen that video. I don't know. So like I have a bunch of new subscribers and it's very exciting and I appreciate all of you for being here. This is so much fun. If you watched the stash video, I've done nothing with this bin. This is the bin of all the scraps. It's just sitting here. That has fallen off of my list. This past couple weeks has been kind of busy and crazy with travel and work things in life. And the garden's kind of picking up a little bit. It's gorgeous today, so I'll be out there a bunch. I was out there a bunch yesterday. So we'll get to it. It's just still there, doing its thing. I think my next video might be a whip tour video. It's kind of the plan, because I have a bunch of things on needles. And I think talking about it is going to help me sort through what I actually want to keep, what I don't care about, and maybe give me some motivation to work on some stuff. So yeah, so I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to go play with this dog who is trying to destroy his toy in an act of boredom. And I hope you all enjoyed kind of seeing like what this dye process looks like, journeying on this adventure with me, and hopefully there will be more fiber dyeing to come because I think that was a lot of fun. See you next time.